ladies and gentlemen. We are here today, and we have with us some coffee, first of all, because we are adjusting to this Australian time schedule, and it's working out better than I thought. You know, over the last couple weeks, just doing work, and I felt like I was staying up too late anyways, and I just got back from the California trip a few months ago, and I never felt like the clock reset. And so when this Australia deal happened, I'm like, I'm going to have an easier time getting to their time frame than I am going to be getting to, you know, centralized America. So we are on that Australian time frame, waking up at about 3 or 4 in the afternoon, instantly going to work for 5-ish hours, and then coming back and working as if it's a normal day. It actually isn't that bad. I might take this as permanent. Maybe I'm born in the wrong place. Maybe it should have been a descendant of a prisoner that was rejected from America and sent to Australia. That would have been awesome, I guess, as an Anglo-Saxon American. But we are drinking the coffee. We are getting things going. People are saying we're up with you, Chaz. It's only 10. It's only 10. But we had this amazing Perth Motorplex race here recently, and a driver stuck out into my mind. We recently highlighted him in our last video that we put out, as well as the media coverage that apparently Australian provides their dirt track racing. And luckily enough, his name is, I was joking calling it Callum, and it seems like we have, because we do have, is it Callum or Callum? Is it Celsius Williamson? What the hell? How do you say this name, guy? Kill him, like killer, like kill him.
I think the American accents make my name very hard to say, to be honest.
Well, I mean, I'm from Texas. They say I'm supposed to have an accent, but I don't feel it. But then when I get around the ladies, they say I do. So, I mean, I don't know if that's real or not. Maybe.
No, people just call me Kel for short, or they call me the 3, which is just my card number. It makes it easy.
But it's like kill him.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, I don't plan on killing you. I mean, you are in a dangerous sport, but I mean, that's possible. You never know. I mean, it is possible. You never know. So this race this last weekend, I don't know. Did you listen to my commentary or thought process of what I thought was happening in the middle of that race? Was there some wine and cheese? Did Brad Sweet throw some ginger and spice onto the track that put you in the wall?
Well, I definitely haven't got the Crocodile Dundee blood in me, but listening to it, I got it sent to me by the track prepper from the Perth Motorplex, Mikey. He sent it to me, and I was listening through it, and yeah, it was unreal to listen. I didn't think the platform that Brad and Rico could bring over here would get back to America so quick. So pretty happy having these guys over here, because we're pretty remote in the middle of nowhere in Australia, and getting to show what we can do over here, and have obviously you guys recognizing it's pretty cool.
Well, me personally, I have a little, we were just talking about my background. I have a little bit of a soft spot for, you know, local racers in general, just because my involvement with track management. And in America, it seems like the only time, obviously y'all have a different media situation over there, but here in America, you could be a badass race car driver weekly or just regionally, and no one, and even nationally, and no one's going to care until you go off in the corner and flip and die. And that's what really started pissing me off and wanting to make basically avocational based changes within the sport. So I pointed out some guys on the West Coast. I was lucky enough to help a guy like Devin Borden get over into PA with some contacts that I had over there to race, and even a JJ Hickle. He says that I helped him get out of, you know, 360 racing into 410 racing a little bit more. So I pay attention to people in their regions, and just because it may not be a big region or a populous region, that doesn't mean that there isn't a home run hitter, you know, in that region. And I think that was probably why I had that commentary, how I was saying it, oh, hell no, some bitch, you ain't beat me on my home track, because there has to be an element in the car where when Brad Sweet or Rico's there, you kind of have to feel a little pressure there to, like, you know, not the coin phrase Eminem, but this is my one shot. You know, I gotta really, this is a moment right here, and I gotta capitalize on it.
Yeah, definitely. obviously when they announced that those two fellas were going to come over here and have a run with us, you sort of sit back and you sort of take it all in. It's a bit like a dream, and you go to town on trying to get everything right so you can actually deliver on the meetings that you're racing with them. Like you said, they don't come over here often, so you get one opportunity to race with them, and you want to have or make sure your car's good enough to run with them. So I'm very lucky. I've got a young crew chief. He's only 21 years old, Brody Moller. He's gone to work on my car for a while to get it right for me and get me comfy. I spent 2 months out of the car before the start of this speed week. So when I jumped in the car, I felt pretty comfy right at the start there, and I was just glad that we qualified well and got to start at the pointy end to really show what we could do. And when you get slid by Brad or Rico, the first thing that switched into my head was I've got to make a name for myself and show what I can do, because we don't have the likes of Americans trending in every day watching us. So it was
well, it must be, not to cut you off, it must be a little hard to judge, where you're at sometimes if you don't necessarily get those premier names in at all or rarely, I mean, sometimes when I always joke with the NASCAR boys, you're in like a rich little pond. Who knows how good y'all are because there's a multi-million-dollar, gatekeep in the way. Not saying that's the case out there, but you're in a region where you're only racing the people you're around most of the time, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We're pretty fortunate that James McFadden wants to come back, and he runs that Perth Motorplex as well. So we've had some, and we've had Michael Pickens. He's running my car as well. So we've had some good good people in cars in the west there, and they've ran there, and we've got to run with them. And we always think we're quick, and that's as quick as we're going to be when they get over here. And it was good to see that the pace that we put on that night was as good as it can to maybe run wheel to wheel with them. Those last 6 laps, I wish I could keep up with them, but it's just I think it's the race fitness falling out of the seat, which happened to me. Those guys do 80 shows a year, and like I said, in the last 3 months, that was my second meeting. So more laps would be something that I'd really like to do in the future, and I think if I could get my race fitness up, well, not the fitness, but the race fitness up, or doing more meetings, I would be better than what I was as well.
Yeah, the cars are definitely very physically demanding. That was a question actually in the chat. If anybody wants to send some supers, we'll read those as well. But if y'all have questions for him, that is. But a good point here. I don't just ignore all the good things that are said. Somebody said, how many races a year do y'all actually do over there? You just said that race we saw, funny enough, boxing night is kind of like, the big world champion comes to town and you were the Rocky Balboa of the situation. But how many times a year do y'all race on that side? Because Perth is, I mean, obviously you said you were going to be at the Classic. That's on the other, kind of like a 35-hour drive for y'all. But I'm assuming most of your racing is done over there. So how much racing do you actually get in?
Yeah, so like you've pointed out on the map on your feed yesterday, we're pretty remote where we are. So it's a couple-day trip if you want to go somewhere else to race. So we get in our series, which is just in WA, we've got 2 tracks that we run at, and we can get up to about 20 meetings a year in our season. But if you want to sneak in a couple more shows in between your season, you've got to drive 2 days very quickly to get over to Warrnambool to run that for a couple shows, and then by the time you finish that, you're quickly getting in your truck to travel another couple of days to get home to finish off your series. So we're only doing about maybe 22 meetings a year if we're lucky, and that's just how it is with our seasonal stuff.
Yeah, just looking at the map, what is between Perth and Melbourne over there? Where is it? I heard it's just they make trucks over there that are specially built with like 2 gas tanks to be able to do it or something like that, or what's going on? It's a hell of a desolate track, right?
It's pretty much you're traveling to the middle of nowhere, crossing Nullarbor from WA. So yeah, the trucks have 2 big tanks. I don't know how much you're putting in there, 1,800 liters or whatever it is. And you're on the road for 2 days. I'm pretty fortunate. I've got my dad that loves traveling. He's a float driver for our company, and delivers all the machinery and that. So when he gets a chance to take the transport and get over east and go for a drive, he loves it.
Yeah, and I guess most of us in the Americas, we're used to the New South Wales racing scene. I'm assuming that's where most of it looks like that's where, Sydney's located, Melbourne's located. That's where the Classic is. That's where Avalon, I believe Avalon's over there. Because y'all, that's kind of like y'all states technically in Australia, correct? Is these New South Wales,
Yeah.
Western Australia, South Australia. So I was trying to explain it to people the other day because they were like, why would you say Melbourne or Victoria, New South Wales, Australia, or whatever, or any of these things, or Melbourne, Victoria, Australia? I was like, that's pretty much like city, state, country in a way.
Yeah, so pretty much if you wanted to go to, you can do more than 20 shows, or you could do 40 if you really wanted to, but that's with the opportunity of living over that side of the country. And obviously you've got, you're closer to each state over there. The tracks are closer. There's a lot more to pick from. So where we are, we're pretty remote. We've only got 2 tracks, and they're the 2 biggest tracks in Australia as well. So when you go over there, you're on little bull ring tracks, and that's why it's very hard for some people like us to go over there and compete on those smaller tracks. We're blessed to have big tracks in WA. It's nothing compared to America though, but we're blessed to have these big tracks where we can have those people come over here and love it as well.
Now, most people know of Perth. What's this other bigger track that you're talking about? You'll probably say it and I'll be like, oh yeah, but
yeah, so our next round is at Bunbury. So we're running at Bunbury, which is south of Perth, 2 hours. So it's close for us, which is great, and that's where we run our series. We run Perth and Bunbury, so
okay,
it's a lot flatter banked, very very similar size of Motorplex, and to be honest, I think Bunbury's feels quicker than it does at Motorplex.
okay. And yeah, it looks like that's a little bit south. So that's kind of interesting. A lot of people, when I was coming, or when I was talking about you and all that, a lot of people were saying that you reminded them of kind of like the PA posse, kind of guy, because you were off to the side and, you're separated from the rest of the country in your own little world that y'all battle in weekly, kind of like the PA posse mantra. But really, with how separated these two racing scenes are, it's almost like y'all have a PA posse side and then like a West Coast kind of side as well. Although it's like flip-flop. Like Perth, if you're explaining these bigger tracks, like in America, if you want to find some big track drivers or some, moderate size track drivers, you go to PA. If you want to find some bull ringers, that can really whip a sprint car around and develop them into a bigger track guy, then you would go to California. And that kind of seems what y'all got going there. So I guess I could see why some people would relate it to the posse scene, just maybe because of the size of the tracks.
Yeah, that's correctly right. You got some, like I feel like the young hitters over the other side of the country on those bull rings, they're getting around there all right. And then we got our big tracks slick to the wall over where we're racing. The track preps over here are unreal. They just let it dust off and they get it to the wall. So it's when, I don't know, I haven't been over to America, but I can see on TV that a lot of your tracks over back at home are very slick to the wall and they let it go. So it's pretty much, they're my dream tracks looking at those ones, and that's what we get dished up at the Motorplex in Bunbury every weekend.
And so what size is that Bunbury Speedway there? It don't look too big. Maybe what? 4/10?
Sure. I think it's...
Well, the 4/10 is apparently not a measurement. Apparently that's 2 fists. So...
I'm gonna say how big it is, but I bet you someone's gonna quote me and say I'm wrong. But I think it's about 600 to 800 meters on the pole line, maybe.
Okay.
Both tracks,
okay.
or bigger than that. Yeah, but they're decent sized tracks. They've got a lot of flow to them. It's not just hammer down, turn the thing. It's you got to finesse the throttle and really keep the wheels underneath you. And probably what you're seeing on that race meeting at the Motorplex, you get off your line by a couple inches and you're in the slick and you're going backwards 8 car lengths if you run up against the wall and you keep grabbing that moisture, you get your momentum up, and it's really really easy to put the slide job in.
Yeah, that was something that was actually kind of nice to see. Was y'all had a surface there that was extremely difficult to maneuver. The closing rate in sprint car racing. I get in arguments with the late model, which late models is really big over here. I know y'all have some, like, I think it's super sedans and all saloons or something like that, but it's a big scene over here. And I try to explain to the fans over there in late model racing, the one thing that sprint car racing can do that y'all can't do. Y'all can be four wide and battle for 100 laps and all this stuff, but you can't make up 10 car lengths like that and visually see it. When a guy's in front of you and he makes somewhat of a mistake, hits the wrong line, and you hit the right line, you can make up almost a half straightaway sometimes. And visually, that's very appealing. And it seemed like that track, and I guess what you're saying is the tracks over there in Perth, that's kind of the angle that they go for.
Yeah, that's it. We're just blessed that our track promotion, Gavin Mygro from the Perth Motorplex, is him and his team. That's the way they want to get it across. They want to keep following what America does. Obviously, they do it very well, and they want us to race on those tracks that they sort of watch over there. So our track promoter, our track prep guy, Mikey, he went over and spent some time with the people over in Knoxville when they were prepping their track, and gave them a bit of a hand there, watched what was happening, and he brought that back to WA, and he ended up they ended up purchasing a tractor to till the dirt up and do all the same stuff that Knoxville does with their dirt, because it's pretty similar. So ever since that, probably about 4 years ago, we're starting to get these real slick tracks to the wall, inches off the wall, and then now it's developed all of us, WA drivers into running sort of to a style that America does over there.
Well, and we always hear about, Australian drivers trying to come over, and the notion always is, short tracks and this and that. And, that's where, you could just plug and play them. But it's when you get on those bigger tracks is where they have to develop a little bit. They're not ready to just win an outlaw race, where you could bring a guy, that's the notion, at least, a guy from Australia who's high level, and just pop him on a short, mediocre sized track, and he could be a contender to win right out of the gates. But it seems like what you're saying is Perth and y'all on that side of the country of Australia, with your bigger size facilities, are I guess are trying to better prep drivers potentially to go to America, or to go to the World of Outlaws, or the big scene of the American stage, to be a little more ready for those bigger facilities.
Yeah, that's it. Obviously, you guys can now see it while watching, obviously, the other night. If you guys are seeing it, then we're definitely in the right direction with our track and how we're doing it over here. I've obviously noticed a few more people from over east now who look like they want to go to America. They're spending a bit more time here in WA getting used to the big tracks. There's a young fella called Ryan Newton. He ran over in America last year. Yep. So he's now running in WA on the bigger tracks, and he's now getting used to the slickness, and he's going to turn into a really good driver. He already is. So it's just a good opportunity for people that don't have to travel all the way to America. They can now drive the 2 days like we have to go to the small tracks. They can drive 2 days to come to our big tracks over here and get a bit of a taste, I guess, to what America might dish up when you get there.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, one of the big deals that people are flipping out about in Pennsylvania right now is there's a rumor, which it seems to be pretty sustainable, that they're going to replace the flagman at Lincoln Speedway with video boards. And everybody's losing it. It's weird in PA, it's Mennonites, they're Amish, they're kind of old, it's, they want everything. There's horse and carriages on the street over there when you're going to the track. I mean, it's old school. So they want a flagman in the stand to literally take years off of his ability to walk and cripple his feet and stand for 6 hours in a damn a little box. I see that as punishment. I did hear during the broadcast that is what y'all have right now, right? At Perth, I believe y'all do not have a flagman. Y'all are ran on a video board system.
Yeah, so we we've pretty much embraced it. So we do have that. We've got it down the main straight, back straight, into corners. We've got it's all electronic. So, when we got we're coming to a lapper car with the blue board will come up and show on that lap car that he's there. But we've got that on both sides of the track, not just one side.
Right, I saw that. It was like all four corners. Yeah. I'm assuming wherever we see a green light in this video is where that board. Those are all boards, or no?
Yeah, they are. They're all mechanical lights. So we're lucky to have that. And us people over here, we never really, we're never in the favour of getting rid of that. We're always welcoming it in. Our people here in WA, they've gone leaps and bounds from when they wanted to start making the place what it is now. They, brought stuff in like the track prep is amazing now. So we're not over here saying no, we don't want it. We're just allowing it to happen, and it just seems like it's getting better and better. There might be things that they bring in that we might not like, but right now I think the Perth Motorplex are probably doing the best job I can see in Australia. They're trying to just keep developing the track, and what it's doing is it keeps developing us as drivers.
Well, I feel like, honestly, and I've kind of said this to a lot of people, I believe that y'all are ahead of a lot of people in Australia, and it seems like particularly Perth, in progressing this sport into reality. Over here, as popular as it may be to some, you could go right down the street from Williams Grove and a convenience store and ask the clerk, do you know what a sprint car is? And there's a chance you'll hear no. You go to some of these other areas that are big, that you think are big, and there's people that just don't know. Now, obviously, PA is a little better, but you go to most of the racetracks around here, you ain't got to go far down the street to find somebody who's never even heard that the track exists. It does seem like y'all have progressed over there into natural society a little better. And I have a feeling that's because y'all are not in a NASCAR shadow. Y'all are the top form of circle track racing in the country. That probably, makes a big difference when people view you as the top level of something. Do you see that? I hear that over there that y'all go into convenience stores, 7-Eleven, and the races on the TV. I mean, the broadcast here was just top notch, next level. I mean, you're not just the scene over there may not be as big, but I feel like as far as integrating into regular society, it is 10 times further along than we are over here.
Yeah, well, we've got some main motorsports here in Australia. We got the supercars, and we've got sprint cars, and the supercars are live to air free TV, so everyone can see it in Australia. And what the Motorplex have done in WA, they've got free to live air TV in sprint cars now. So we've started using that 2 years ago. Mainton Toyota Series, which sponsor our series, they've put all this money together to show the Australia and the world what we can do. And now I think it's helped. Everyone's getting around it with the live free to air TV. Everyone knows sprint cars, and it would be probably the second biggest motorsport in Australia. And the best thing about supercars and sprint cars, they don't clash on the nights, and you can have your live to free air TV on those nights as well. And just it's getting popular and more popular now.
How relevant was it prior to that? Was it still just popular as well, or was it like I was describing to you? I mean, you could go down the street, nobody knows what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, it was a bit like that. I would say about probably the year that James McFadden probably got picked up over there to race with KKR. That was probably the year when it started getting popular. James McFadden was a real good ambassador for our sport in Australia. He, everyone started tuning in and
but he drinks beer out of a racing shoe. You can't respect that at all. That's disgusting. It tastes like Vegemite.
The Aussie culture. Yep. There's people that do them off thongs.
If I could imagine what that would taste like, the salty, just gritty nastiness, it probably tastes very close to Vegemite. I think that's why he does it.
Yeah, well, I'd say, that's probably not my flavor. The beer I drink probably tastes like that anyway, to be honest.
So, but what you're saying is, what you're saying is, when James McFadden came over here like he did, that was kind of like a dirt racer going to NASCAR over here. It all of a sudden made y'all a big thing that, you know, people started paying
It
attention
did,
to.
yeah. So everyone started watching James. Everyone started. Well, that's the year I bought Dirt Vision just so I could watch him go over there and race. And that's the, you know, everyone started talking, and that's when people sort of seen, okay, well, why's he gotten picked up, and you know, what's going on here, and you know, I feel like the Perth Motorplex have now watched what's going on over there a lot more fine tuned now to today, and you know, anyone can get picked up and go over there and have a good time. Yeah, James would have been a good ambassador for us in Australia, and now I'd say with Mainton Tour the series, what they do for us with the TV and that, we're blessed that we've got them on our side, and they already have signed another 3 years with our series to keep it growing with live to free air TV, and I think our sport in a couple more years, you know, the years to come, that we probably be, you know, one of the biggest motorsports in Australia to watch on TV.
Well, over here in America, I think something that's holding back this live to air TV, because I don't know if you watched it, David Gravel had Joey Saldana and Paul McMahon on his show a couple weeks ago, and Joey Saldana kind of piped up when Gravel asked him about the state of the sport. He was saying, well, you are trying to get places we kind of already went. He was talking about there in the 2000s, the Outlaws had a television deal. They had corporate sponsors on the race cars. They reached a lot of people. He was basically saying, like, we were doing all these exposure style things that y'all are hoping to get to. I think that's something that's holding back this live to air TV deal, or free to air, whatever you want to call it, is the money. A lot of people would be like, how's the business model work for that? Obviously, we have a war over here in the sprint car industry of America, and it seems like it's between two streaming companies. They're trying to get the stars on their platform that people want to pay to see. And you can't really pay to see it or make money in the non-pay to see it way unless you have big corporate advertisers who pay the bill for the show. You know, that's how corporate TV works, is the advertisers buy it. You know, that's why you'll have Fox or CBS bid for the Super Bowl for $350 million or $1 billion, and then they'll sell 30-second spots for $20 million to make the money in that investment. I don't think that's over here because of the relevance of the sport, and that's why we've went to the streaming route. But how does that business model actually work over there? Like, is there a business model? I mean, we even talked about, you're talking about American pay. I don't even know how the logistics of racing over there. I hear the cost of living is insane.
Yeah, there definitely is. With our series, we got Jeff Kendrick, so we're under the SEG. He's the guy who's put the series together, and he's made the right connections and networks to then talk to his mate Paul from Mannington Toyota, who sponsors our series and sponsors the live to air TV. They seen something in our sport a couple of years ago, the way we could go, the direction we could go. And the Mannington Toyota series actually look after the Australian netball. They look after the rugby over here, and they seen something in our sprint car sport, like what we could do with our sport. So they've done like almost like a 5-year deal 3 years ago. This is where we're going to get you. Every year we we show you to Australian TV. We need you to be like this. We done media training before this year to teach us how to talk and present ourselves, just so we can keep growing the sport live on TV. So they put a lot of money in, but I think in return, what we're doing as drivers now in WA is we all support the people that put the time and effort in with us.
The investment.
We get around Mainton Toyota. Yep, we get around them. We present them well. We all wear those patches on our suits, and we wear them and talk about them. If we need to go buy a car, because obviously they sell Toyota cars, we go to Mannington Toyota. And with our community over here in Perth, WA, even if you're a spectator and you're looking for a car, those people then support them as well, and they can see the return with the money they're giving out. And I think maybe they've spent more money than what they've got, but they can see the future of where we're going, and I think it's going to, come back and return later on.
Now, how does that transition into you personally? Is there any kind of licensing, or are you getting a a cut of streaming or advertising, or are y'all just lucky to have what y'all have because of the scenario out there and what growth has had?
We're just blessed. I take it pretty seriously with my merch and stuff now, but going back 3 years ago, and we're probably racing like we did last night 3-4 years ago. But now, we're getting the show on live on TV. New people are coming to the sport. People are wanting to come down and buy our merch. We're getting it back in those ways. The more people who actually come to racing, the more we can put on the show to people. It seems like it's attracting the right people to come here and race as well. And I think that's all us as drivers can ask for, is to be able to race the best, people to come here and like what we've got, to want to keep coming back, and for us to, as drivers, to be able to have a full crowd every night clapping and cheering, and then get us on to race harder is probably the reward for all that as well.
So you're more so just grateful for the stage that has been built, and you'll play on it for free, almost.
Pretty much, mate. Us, WA people know how hard it was for them to get it for us. So everyone's pretty much embracing it, and we'll just keep doing it until we can grow our sport into something bigger than what it is now.
Is there anyone who does race for a living over there?
So there is people that race for a living, or they're trying to. It's in Australia. I wouldn't say there's anyone that's actually racing for a living, but there's people that have gone to America to try, get on the scenes over there and try, attempt it. But it's very hard. So we're still not there with the prize money to make a living. Our dollar value to America is very hard to,
yeah.
Buying parts and buying cars is still hard. So we don't have the big track sponsors just yet. Maybe us in WA we do. So I think it's every Australian dream to go over to America to race, to make a living. That's probably what people want to do, but we definitely can't do it in our own state just yet.
Well, it seems like y'all do have some decent sponsors on y'all's cars. You seem like the supporters of the sport are somewhat corporatized. I don't know the Mobil 1 deal, what that is in ins and outs, obviously, but it seems like y'all have some decent investments into the sport in an industrial way, at least.
Yeah, we do. My sponsors on my car are, people, family, friends, and mates from a while back. And the Mobil 1 deal came off with them wanting to supply us oil, and it grew into something else. But the Avalon Group on the side of the car is my business, that I've grown and I've put back into my own car. But yeah, I think it's a lot of people would put sponsors on their car just because they want to give their mates a bit of a scene here in Australia, and show them that they support them. There's not much money getting thrown around in sponsorship, I wouldn't say. Maybe your big key teams they do, but for a lot of teams it's just their own businesses that afford their own racing and their own logos on cars.
So pretty much everyone over there is working a 9-to-5 job, or some type of business, or some way.
Yeah. Everyone's working to pay their own racing. I work as well to keep my business going. Everyone's doing the hard yards to go racing. So we got a different passion over here. We treat it more as a hobby than a chore. So every time probably Australian hits the track, they're just blessed they get the race, and all their hard work during the week, I guess, is paying for their racing. So then we try to respect each other more on the track, because we know if we come together and damage cars, that this poor fella that's got a junk car now has to go back to work and make some money to pay for it again.
Well, and that has its benefits, I mean, the professional dirt racer, really professional racers, even in America, I don't even know when that really started. I mean, a lot of people had to work to get up and down the road, and get where they're at. And I feel like that's another reason back in the day there was a little more respect, because the work was in the car, and the money in the car was put in by the work of the person that's driving it or on it, so that's a big element. Over here, I joke about the rich kids who just come in here at 14, 15, 16 off of iRacing and throw these stupid sliders, and that's because they haven't worked hard enough to respect what they're racing.
Yeah, no, we totally know where you're coming from with that one, but we definitely just have, I don't know, in our culture in WA, our culture here is everyone gives the respect because we've got a small series and we want to see it grow. We don't want to be getting to an A main and just make it to the A main because there's not enough cars. We want to get to the A main, have a B main. We want to be able to keep growing the sport. If we keep driving to a stage where we're taking cars out, people can't rock up next week and run the full series. So we've got a good culture, and I think that's where I was running with Brad and Rico, that the sliders that we're doing with each other was respectful enough where they don't want to hurt your car. They want to see you come to the next meet and have some fun.
Right, definitely. You could see that with the respect for close, but not stupid. There's a difference between close and stupid.
Yeah, you can rub wheels down the straight as long as you know who you're beside and you can still race hard. I think that's probably the best type of racing. You still want to be close, racing hard, but to a point where you're not going to look silly if you take someone out.
Now, how old are you, for the record? Some people don't know.
I'm 30 years old.
30 years old. See, so in America, you're too old past your prime. I don't say that. I say that the talent of America is in 25 to 35 because it takes time to work to afford these damn things. I mean, if you're not born into some type of monetary situation, it takes time to build the capital up to even race these cars. So 30 years old, you got your own business. Why Avalon? Because obviously I'm going to Australia. I threw the bank out the window to make it happen. Links in the description to join the support. Saying it right now. But I'm going to be there. I'm going to land January 12th, and I'm going straight to this thing. I guess it's called President's Cup or something like that at Avalon. That's on the other side of the country. Why Avalon? What happened?
So I was just starting my business out probably about 5 years ago, and we're sitting there at the table and we're thinking of what name can we call this business. I didn't want to call it like any letters. I wanted to actually have a name for the business. And the old street address that I used to live in was called Avalon. And in New Zealand,
that's coincidental,
it means
huh?
luck. Yeah, it means luck in New Zealand. So I was like, okay, we'll call it Avalon. And I've got a group of companies, so we call it Avalon Group. So that's a earth moving company. I've got machinery and boys that take those machines and do work for mining companies, and that's what allows us to race. Obviously, here in Australia, mining is pretty big in WA as well. So we're busy enough where we're pretty fortunate where we can employ a full-time crew chief that works on my cars, preps it all. I'll actually live 5 hours north of Perth as well. So I'm driving backwards and forwards to these meetings 5 hours. So I need someone in Perth working on it, housing the car in Perth, and I can drive in and race because I'm working every week.
Well, that's interesting, driving, and you said mining. I saw a commercial on the show. I guess y'all don't have paved roads or something like that. What was that all about? Guys doing custom paved roads? I guess there's a lot of dirt.
Yeah, we're because we're so remote as well. It's very hard to put up batching plants for concrete and stuff like that. So we use it's called asphalt, two coat seals, asphalt as well, which is like an emulsion, which is like a real, it's like a gel they put on the road, and then they lay rock over top of it, and that's what we got over here. And
you have to personally buy it, or
no, the government put all these roads in for everyone. So main roads, which is Australia main roads, they build these roads for us, and that's where our taxpayers' money goes to keep them clean and keep them under good nick.
Well, yeah, I was just curious. I was like, wow, that's just different. Never saw. What did you say Avalon stood for again? I think I cut you off a little bit there.
So Avalon was my old house address.
Okay.
And Avalon in New Zealand, because I'm Kiwi. It stands for good luck.
Okay.
So we just said, okay, Avalon Group is the company.
So Kiwi. So how does this? Maybe we should back up a little bit. How do you even get to where you are right now? What's the life story of Callum Williamson?
Yeah. Okay. Well, uh, so my parents lived in New Zealand. So
And there's no
they were
spiders or
both born in
snakes
New
over
Zealand.
there, right? Nothing deadly in New Zealand.
Nah, not until you come over to Australia there is. But they lived over in New Zealand. They were 19, 18. They both moved over to Australia to, they call it living the Australian dream. There's not much opportunities in New Zealand when you get young to make money and to get a good house and job and stuff. There's no opportunities over there, so they moved over. My dad, he pretty much worked all the way up to when he was about. Well, he's still working, but he worked his ass off until he could sort of buy me a go kart, and we went go karting together. And so we pretty much ran racing over here for my whole life. I never actually was born in New Zealand. I was born in Australia, but I've got a lot of family, and it's still part of my culture is New Zealand.
Is that close to like a Mexico America deal? You know, I mean, but just a little bit bigger river than the Rio Grande, a damn ocean.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's close. A lot of New Zealanders actually move to Sydney or WA or anywhere in Australia to come for work. It's still ran like that. Yeah.
Well, I made a joke with the SVG deal. You know, I was calling when SVG came over and beat the NASCAR guys. I said this is proof of how amateur y'all actually are. You let the sheet fucker come and beat you. Is there an actual thing there? It seems like there is a little animosity. The only thing I've heard from a New Zealander is don't ever try to outdrink an Australian.
Yeah, well, it's just it goes backwards and forwards. Australia and New Zealand, everyone loves each other over here, but when you're having a few beers and you want to have a joke, you can throw a few of those jokes in there and have a laugh. That's just what it is. Shane Van Gisbergen, he's a Kiwi, comes over to Australia, races supercars over here. The first thing they can find to get in his nerves would be things like that. But no, he's unreal, and for him to go to America from running supercars here and get that win, I think I was watching it live actually on TV. That was probably one of the best races I've seen for NASCAR. So watching Australians and New Zealanders go to America to race, that's where everyone's following. Everyone follows that. Everyone starts tuning in. So I never started watching NASCAR really until Shane Van Gisbergen started going over there to race. And you got young Bro Kostecki. He's looking at maybe doing some races. But obviously I was following it because of Kyle Larson.
Well, I don't know. I feel like NASCAR is just so vehicle dependent. When you get on that asphalt, on dirt, I feel like you can make up for the car a little bit. But on that asphalt, you're kind of strapped. Whatever that car is capable of, I feel like you race or drive a dirt car, and in those cars, you're more so riding in them. Kyle would be a great example of that. They were calling him potentially not NASCAR talent-wise good enough, because he was in that Ganassi car for 6 years and only had 6 wins. And I believe 2 of those was, exhibition races. So, he was viewed as not good enough for NASCAR simply because of the car dictating his performance. Because once he got into a good car, everybody could say he said the N-word and went great and ran dirt, and that's why he got better. I don't see that at all. I see the car got better. And that's why I don't really like NASCAR in a way, because I believe you can outperform somebody based on equipment,
Yeah, it's oh no, I see it in a couple of different ways as well, but I don't watch it enough like you probably do to probably know more ins and outs of it.
I
But
just talk
I can
shit to
definitely
him.
say,
I don't watch him.
yeah, definitely can say with sprint cars though, like you said, the cars ain't everything. It comes down to the drivers that can run the high lines, run the slick, get down onto the pole line if there's a little bit of moisture there, make up 8 car lengths like you said in speedway. The NASCAR stuff, I haven't followed it enough to really know what it's like, but I could still say that like when I see Kyle Larson running behind a car near Daytona, I don't know what tracks they are, those smaller tracks that are oval shape. I can see that it's not a slide job, but it's definitely one of those, big moves that look like it's from Speedway. His background.
Yeah, definitely. I think the new car kind of hurt that though. I think on the new or the older car, you could kind of lean on the tires a little more. They got the lower profile, so now when they step out, they go. But I still think I think there's an element of skill there. I just despise. I like merit. You know, I like those who work the hardest get rewarded the best. And unfortunately, in the American racing scene, if you don't have multiple millions of dollars in a very young age of life, you will never get into the NASCAR scene, especially into the Cup scene. And I think that's why I always tout dirt racing as the top, because you know there is no prowess, there is no, you know, you have to be this certain age range to succeed. If you got talent, you can at least work your way to the point that you can actually perform and win and succeed. You know, someone at your age, 30 years old, doing what you're doing wouldn't even be, you know, you would be pushed out at 30, you know, in the NASCAR ranks of the world. And it really is, in the NASCAR American sense, you can buy your way to the starting lineup of a team. You know, it don't matter if the other guy's better. It's just so monetarily determined. And I think that I think the easiest field Kyle Larson races against on a yearly basis when he's running the sprint car and the midget even, well, maybe the midget's about the same, but especially the sprint car and then the late models is a little tougher over here, I think, than the sprint car. The fields, that is, the competition level, I think NASCAR is possibly the easiest field he competes against, talent-wise.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think he does. Definitely does a good job over there in it. But it's like us in Australia at 30 years old. That's still in your prime for over here in 30. We don't do, you know, the 80 shows a year. So, you know, we do 80 shows in 4 seasons. So, yeah, the amount of racing I've done compared to my age, I reckon Buddy Kofoid, when he came over here and he was only 17 years old and I was 25, he's probably done more racing than I did. So,
right.
You know, it's a difference there where age ain't a thing. I still back Donny Schatz is one of my favourite drivers to watch, and I still think he's got, you know, years and years left in him. He's getting, well, when I watch, he's getting better. He, you know, you can have a bad season here or there, but he's still got it. So
he still won the King's Royal.
Ain't a thing. There you go. Yeah, so it's definitely not a thing, and hopefully, you know, the opportunities do come to Australia someday for more people to get involved in American sport. There's some great drivers over here, and like I said before, there's drivers over here that are working a 5 to 7, 7 to 5 job, trying to make you know, ends meet to go racing in the outback here. And if they can get those opportunities to go to America, they're living some of their dreams out.
Well, and I'll tell you what, I've got involved with the super late model scene a lot over here in the Americas last 3 to 4 years. I grew up in Texas. It's a modified state. I went to Devil's Bow. It's a sprint car track, but it's not necessarily, I wouldn't call Texas a sprint car state at all. It's a modified late model state. And I would say the one thing that I find respect in, and it sounds like maybe that's not the case over there, when I walk into a damn late model pitting area, it's normal people. They're the drivers are working on their cars. They got jobs, they work, they bust ass, and they get in the car and perform. And when I walk into that sprint car pitting area, they're jumping out of the cars, getting on their cell phone and texting the girl they're trying to hook up with later that night that they matched on Tinder early in the day. You know, so it's just a culture, and it's a bunch of kids, and it's really not promoted for the driver to even touch the car. Now, you said you had a crew chief. Obviously, you got a whole situation where you're working a full-time job and need that assistance, it sounds like. So that's a little bit different. But I've always attuned this kid type of, I just drive the car type of character that, in my opinion, has infested the sprint car industry to, I call it co-trickle syndrome. Because if you look at the history of World Outlaws in America, our icons of sprint car racing were Kensers and Swindells and Wolfgangs, and all of a sudden co-trickle came along and was, you know, a California kid from sprint car who raced in a go-kart at 5 and 14, a sprint car and cup. And then all of a sudden, our icons of sprint car racing in America switched to Jeff Gordon, because Jeff Gordon was basically the character coming to life. then Tony Stewart, then Casey Kane, and now in modern times, a Larson and a Bell kind of has that kind of go-kart sprint car cup by 20 years old mantra kind of was laid out over here, where it seems like that never touched y'all much because that just wasn't a reality for your country.
No, definitely not. I think, we're all in the shed buying our own parts, so we're whacking our own parts on. A lot of these people in Australia here have to work on their cars after a race meeting because they can't afford to have crew chiefs and bits and pieces like that. So they're having to get on the tools, wash their car, pack it up, and it's just built into you as a culture. I'd say there's not one driver over here that sits back and doesn't do anything to their car. They're hands on, and like I said, we are fortunate. We appreciate it. It's a hobby. It's not a chore to us. It's a passion. It's not a job. It's definitely rubs off different to us. So everyone's definitely hands on. And if I ever got the opportunity to race for someone anywhere in the world, I wouldn't be able to change my culture. I'd still have to be hands on. I'll still have to get amongst it because it's just what's born into you.
Well, and that, interesting question here, back to kind of what I was talking about, icon shift. I've heard David Gravel talk about going to NASCAR and it didn't work out for him. And it almost feels like being a World of Outlaws sprint car driver for him in particular is kind of like not what he dreamed of. It wasn't the icon he wanted to be. What is the icon for the Australian sprint car drivers? What would that guy be? What do you believe, or maybe you yourself growing up, even though you saw it as a hobby, the dream obviously is to turn that hobby into a career and be a certain character in life. Would that be a James McFadden? Is the dream of Australian sprint car racers to just go to the World of Outlaws or something? Is that kind of like the iconic position or iconic goal?
Yeah, so when I first got into sprint cars at 16 years old, and started racing, the dream was to have someone from America call you up in the middle of the night and say, mate, you want to get on the plane and come over here and race some shows? That's pretty much everyone's dream over here, and it still is pretty much everyone's dream over here. It's not, we're not expecting to be a NASCAR driver because that's not our thing. It's sprint car. People want to go race sprint cars in America and race the best. And like I said before, if we can't get the opportunities to get called up in the middle of the night and come live your dream, we want to promote our venue enough to try to bring them over here so we can, like I said on the podium when I got third against Rico and Brad Sweet, this is a bucket list. This is a dream of mine to run against these people. I'm not getting those phone calls, but to have them over here and get to run just two of them or four of them is living out my dream in Australia.
Well, that's kind of interesting. It also opens up a whole nother box. I mean, I've kind of been, honestly, I think I should start up a talent agency like Jerry Maguire or something. I've hooked up so many drivers with car owners and I don't know, matchmaking. Maybe I should come out with a Tinder or something where you sign up instead of male, female, you sign up as car driver or car owner and you swipe left or right. That's a little disgusting to me. I wouldn't do that. I don't think you get a real relationship out of Tinder, but maybe we should open up like a Jerry Maguire service or agency or something. Because I do have car owners that are looking for drivers, and for some reason they trust me, and I think they trust me, in my opinion, when I evaluate guys, because I am anti-little kids. I am all about merit. I don't care if you're 25 or 35. Hell, you could even be 40. If you're a bad motherfucker, you're just bad. You're good. You got it. And I make that preaching with the American football example. There's Tim Tebow's and there's Tom Brady's. You can't teach talent. Some of these coaching things I see out here now in the racing world and nutritionists and stuff, I mean, if you need a nutritionist and be told when to work out, go get some better parents. Put yourself up for adoption. Don't pay somebody thousands of dollars to tell you how to eat. I mean, it's called YouTube. You can look it up. But regardless, I'm coming at that angle with you because, I mean, obviously my video the other day got some attention. I do have some car owners. I'm kind of shopping for some car owners right now. Funny enough, they just heard I was going to Australia because I just now made the change. If a guy like you was, say I have a PA ride, they're ready to run you all the time, hit Eldora, hit Knoxville, all this stuff. You literally just said you got a 9-to-5er. You have to hire a crew chief to stay working, to sustain a life, I'm assuming, for you and your family. You're 30 now. You know, I'm assuming you got some kind of relationship that or people that depend on you in life. How many adjustments would you have to make to actually do that?
Yeah, so with my job and career and that, I've set my company up where I've put people in place. No matter what, I was going to be coming over there to watch Knoxville Nationals and have a look at the American scene. I've set my company up where I can step away and I've got people running it. So for me to actually go over there and do something in the instant or a click of the fingers is very easy for me. 5 years ago, 2 years ago, if people called me up and said, "Do you want to come over and race my car?" it would have been near impossible. But probably about 6 months ago, I just pretty well put people in charge of my company. It's running well, and now with a click of the fingers, I can be on a plane and I can bring my wife with me, or she could fly over later on and visit and stuff like that. But it's one of those things. I've got a young crew chief over here who's 21 years old. That it's sort of his little dream as well to go over there and have a look at the place. And I've always said to him that in August this year we'll go over there and have a look. Maybe we'll never get the chance to go race there, but we'll go over there and have a look, and we'll enjoy the off season of Australia and America.
Well, 2% of winnings. We got you in PA. No, I'm just playing. But it sounds like though in your career, in your life, all these opportunities that the timing was possibly off. All of this right now for you, if you need proof of God in the world, everything that you may have ever dreamed of, even though you may have wanted it earlier in life, potentially in this point of your life, the timing is 100% right. All of it is aligning, it seems like, properly to where you're in a certain point of your life, finally, apparently, according to you, within the last 6 months, to where you could legitimately actually pursue and check that dream off. It sounds like the timing's perfect for you.
It definitely is. It's never been better, even at the age of 30. Like I said, I haven't done much racing. I've feel like I've only done 2 meetings in 3 months, so you can see that it's there. I just need more races under my belt. Getting over to America, being set up with the business is probably it's all lined up at the age of 30. There's chances for me to go over there and now go watch some racing, and we said we'll go over there and watch some racing, and if any opportunities arise where we can jump in the car and do a meeting there and tick that off a dream bucket list. I've always dreamed of running around Knoxville as a little kid, and maybe about 2 years ago I probably looked at my dreams and said, okay, it's not possible. And just in the last 6 months, it's probably just popped up again that you need to keep your dreams alive, and something could happen one day as well.
Yeah, I remember there's a famous singer coming up over here in America called Jelly Roll, and he said he was getting an award, and he said he was 36 years old, living in the streets 7 years ago, and he said, my example is for all you people out there, to realize no matter where you're at, that dreams come true, and that the rear view mirror is smaller than the windshield, to always keep looking forward instead of looking back. It just sounds like perfect timing for you in this scenario. You mentioned Knoxville a few times, though. What is your favorite kind of racing scene over here? You said you had Dirt Vision. I don't know if you have it still, but obviously if you have a Dirt Vision or a Flow account, you could see a bunch of racing. We do have a pretty hot pocket there in California. We got a decent pocket of racing up at Houston. Not sure about the depth of drivers. Knoxville has their scene. You obviously have, and PA, I would say, is probably the Hollywood of the sprint car racing scene. So have you got to look at all these different places and tracks and talent, or is it just Outlaws and Knoxville stuff for you as far as your viewing pleasures?
I go off not tracks. I go off track conditions. If the place is slick to the wall, I want to be there. It can be a little boring if it's slick into the wall. With like it doesn't need to be like that, but that's my preference. So I've watched Jacksonville a bit. Is it Jacksonville? Is that the track?
Well, which one?
I've watched that. Jacksonville. There's a dry slick track there. Pretty well. They seem like they get it right all the time.
It's extremely small if it's the same one I'm talking about.
Okay, it's definitely not that one then.
Where is it
Eldora is
at?
the bucket
What
list.
location is this track you're thinking?
I wouldn't even have a clue. I think it's Ohio.
Eldora, Attica, Fremont, Atomic.
Atomic Speedway. That's the one.
Yeah, that one's it's a little high bank, kind of boring. What do you think of Port Royal? Slick from bottom to top, running the boards. That seems like Port Royal to a T.
Yeah, that's definitely it. That's the one that I'll watch a fair bit on. If I'm playing even the World of Outlaws game when I was a kid, it was that track. So yeah, it's just I think it doesn't really need to be where the track. I would run on any track with as long as it's fun. It's against the wall. It can be a boring, but it needs to be the type of tracks where you can make passes, you can do slide jobs, you can you're not in the train following the car.
Well, see, like in PA, I got a few car owners I'm talking to over there about different drivers in this trip, and in PA, I mean, that's why I call it Hollywood. You got Williams Grove there, you got Baps there, you got Lincoln there, you got Port Royal there, you got Bridgeport down the road, you got Grandview. You could run like 8 different tracks in a certain, radius. It seems like that is not the case for y'all over there.
Is that the places where Brett Marks and
Brent Marks, yes, that's where Danny Dietrich, Anthony Macri, yes.
Yeah. So they're my dream
the
tracks.
Hollywood.
So that's what I watch. That's what I want to race is those tracks. Those guys, bloody unreal. Like I got all Brett Marks's merch, the Concrete Kids merch. They're the people I idolise, and I think that's what I try to do at the Motorplex is try to be like the Brett Marks against the wall, the Concrete Kid. That's the people I look at.
Well, they both do some damage at Port Royal. I would consider Port Royal kind of the comeback track of the last decade. I mean, 20 years ago, people would call it a shit house, and now it's, one of the best facilities, properly ran, big shows. They had an issue with the Outlaws, apparently, so the Outlaws won't be coming there. Have you at all looked at this high limit World of Outlaws split? I heard that the people over there on that side of y'all's country are very supportive of World of Outlaw. I call them traditionalists, very World of Outlaw centric. What do you feel? Do you have any ideas on what's going on? Why is it splitting this, that, and the other? Or are you just like hearing it first time right here now?
No, I have heard of that. I don't know if you follow the PGA and what's the
Live
other
Golf
one there?
Yes.
The Live Golf. So you look at change for a long time. You look at the change and you go to one of those events and the Lift Golf, what they got there is unreal. Like it's changed. I look at what the Motorplex were doing after a certain amount of time, and the development they're putting in now is good change. I think if anyone wants to better our sport, welcome it. If High Limits want to have their series, and they're putting up the money for people to race and make a living out of it, they're giving massive opportunities to people that you guys are probably blessed with, us over here, or that we're not blessed with. So I feel like the High Limits is unreal, and that sort of series they've got going on there, 8 shows to win 50K. That's what dreams are made of. Here in Australia, one day we hope for a series like that one day, and hopefully in my lifetime to get to see in Australia.
Well, yeah, it is an interesting thing, but I don't know. I feel like the intention isn't always the best. I mean, like I said, this is somewhat of a streaming war. Of course, Flow Racing, the streamer behind High Limit, Dirt Vision, the streamer behind the World of Outlaws, and the World of Outlaws have kind of controlled that market. Over here, the late model series, there's been 2 for a long time, and the drivers aren't in contracts and committed to not running anywhere but their own. So you will have the series kind of, and tracks and events kind of go into a bidding war, trying to attract the big names to their tracks that will not only bring, and you'll have streaming companies do it as well, that will not only bring fans to the track, but will also bring streamers to buy and purchase and watch the show. And that's why I call it a streaming war, because that's where the money's being made. And we have a lot of big races happening now at quarter-mile tracks and short tracks. And in my opinion, in business sense, it's just not even my opinion, I think it's reality, is traditionally bigger races happened at these bigger tracks because they had the grandstands to financially support the big money, the big payout. Whereas now the amount of people you can have paying to watch the race is unlimited due to the streaming aspect. So it's really all about, and it seems like to me, yes, it's all kind of shaded in greatness and this and that, but it also is boiling down to, in my opinion, the business side of it, the money side of it. How many viewers can we get? We need these. If we want to do it in sprint cars like we do late models, we have to have these viewers. We have to have these people. We got to break this kind of monopoly that the World of Outlaws had on the stars of sprint car racing, which they've done a pretty good job, and kind of mask it in, let's just all be friends, you know, because you mentioned live golf, and I always do, you know, I've studied a lot of ancient stuff and paganism and black magic and stuff, and murder red rum, etc. And it's interesting you said live golf, because L-I-V is live. You say it like live, which is L-I-V-E, and live backwards is evil. And then flow, you say it like flow, and F-L-O-W backwards is wolf. So is potentially this a wolf in sheep's clothing, to where it's just a business grab? You know, there's a lot of business involved in this over here. It sounds like over there y'all are treating it more like a hobby, where over here they're treating it like a business, especially when one of the most alluring things is more money and a charter system for your car owner.
Yeah, see what we probably see over here. We used to have World Series that you probably know of. That was our national, series that we had, and it went from track to track, and that's when we had our good drivers come across from over east and run with us. So I probably see it where, we're probably jealous that you've got, three series that you can run nationally wide in America. We probably see that, and we haven't even got one ourselves, and we'll use to have three of them. That's I think if Australia even have one, we'd be happy. So it's very hard for me to sort of make comments on what you guys are probably blessed with series just coming out of everywhere for use to race and make money out of.
Well, and that's the interesting thing. Somebody just put in the comments as well. What's the biggest paying race you have?
Biggest paying race we have would be the Warrnambool Classic, which is, I think I'm not too sure at the moment, maybe 30 grand to win. And then we've got now we've got a race at the Perth Motorplex where we've got, I think it's 33,000 to win. It's the name of it's the LJM Classic or something. It is.
When is that?
So that runs at the end of Speed Week.
And that's the end of January then, or?
I think it's towards February, the end of Feb. So it's around that time. I don't really know the dates on that one, but about 30 grand is the biggest paying events we've got. Other than that, our series puts on 10 grand to win most nights. And we've got open pits in the pits. If you want to try and make money out of selling merch, you've got kids walking around your pits while you're racing all night with their parents and that, and you can make more money out of that as well.
Right. Do y'all have merchandise rows over there or no? Where y'all have like t-shirt trailers?
No, so we all have our merchandise in our transporters. So we just have it sitting in our transporters and cabinets. And
is Rico doing it that way?
No, Rico's got that much.
He's got a trailer.
He's doing it out of a bus. Yeah, he's got a trailer and a bit of a minivan bus that he's selling it out of. You should have seen when he came over to Australia for the Perth Motorplex round. The first night he was there, the gates only just opened, and there would have been a line probably about 50 meters long waiting for Rico to start signing and selling his merch. It was unreal. I wouldn't know the amount of money he would have made off that, but I can sure say that bringing his merch over really would have paid off.
Well, that's interesting that, because over here in the States, even PA and weekly, it's the first, actually one of the only areas I see it happen weekly. It's mainly vendor areas on the grandstand side, where all the people are. That seems to be the best way to monetize merchandise. But y'all's rules are a little bit different as well, right? Y'all got the government body, the Speedway Australia. There's goods and bads. I heard I got to get a license to even be in the pitting area during the races. So talk about that maybe a little bit. Y'all don't have this big battle of sprint car corporations and all that, but y'all do have something that we don't have, and that's a government body.
Yeah, so we our venue's owned by Venues West, which is government owned. So we then lease the Perth Motorplex, and then we run it to a T to make the sales and keep it running. So then there, you've got your being government backed, like they've got to, if you want to sell merchandise up in the grandstands, it's, a company needs to be up there to buy the lease to then sell the merch out of it.
Wow.
So then in the pits, with our transporters, we can sell our merch out of our trailers, not as a business, and away we go from there. But other than that, we can't really sell merch at the Motorplex up in the stands because it is, you got to purchase it like a business.
Does Rico have his stuff on Grandstand inside, or is it just at the race hauler then?
It's just at the race hauler next to his truck there, and he does it there. He does it all through the rules and the books and through our track promoter, Gavin Migro, that, he does a great job. He allows us to keep growing as driver profiles. He, if you've got a good idea and you want to throw it out and you want to, start throwing some T-shirts out to the crowd and do bits and pieces in that sort of way, he'll allow you to do it. So he's always up for anything. There's no roadblocks at the Perth Motorplex. There's just one lane, and it's everyone's in the same direction.
Well, yeah, and see, that's kind of, in a weird way, our scene over here is more Wild West, just gung-ho. Even like that license they're saying I need to have to even go off in the pitting area. There's some times over here, they just let them come in the pits. You buy a pit pass, you can run right in front of a sprint car as it's coming in the pitting area. And I'll tell you what, that's a joke, but I've been in some pitting areas that are very tight with a lot of people, and it's scary close. And I'm like, if something... So, these sprint cars, if these people heads ain't on a swivel, they'll sneak up on you quick, especially they don't even have to be running to move. Sometimes they're not running to be moving. So I see some advantages in how y'all are kind of structured and have certain areas for certain things. And I believe y'all have certain areas with like insurance and stuff. I believe that comes with this license. You have insurance on you. How does that work? Because over here, it's like I said, it's a little more Wild West. If people get hurt in race cars over there, they're like, how does this all work out under this government body?
Yeah, so I'm a bit unsure about how it all works, but I know that we need to go get a medical to go race. We need to make sure that we're healthy. Yeah, like a physical. We need to make sure that we're healthy and fit, that we can steer a car, and once we get that, we can get an SCCA license, which is the Sprint Car Australia license, which they will hand one out, and that will be like a driver's license to race freeway.
Now, are you able to just go straight into 410s at that point, like in America? If you can buy one, you can race one.
Yep, that's how we do it over here as well. If you can get your license, you can go race. And then from there, with like the insurances at the track and stuff like that, you pretty much sign a waiver saying, you take the sport at your own risk when you're racing, obviously, like everyone does. But with the pits, we have open pits as well for all the kids.
Okay.
And dads and parents. So we've got cars rolling around there while everyone's looking at stuff. But what we do differently, if you've ever zoomed in on the Motorplex on Google Maps, you'll see where we come out of the track, we've got a staging lane and we've got an exit lane. So no matter what happens, when we come out of the pits, we stop in that exit lane, switch our cars off. The crews have to, come to us, pick us up with the buggies and push us back into the pits at a walking pace, a safe environment pace. And that's where it all comes together really well is, our government backing our sport, the licenses and all that allows us to have that because we've got safety regulations in place where we can still make it safe for everyone, but still just push the point of making it exciting as well and still have kids in the pits.
Yeah, so you're talking about those, it looks like it's about a 5-wide staging lane. That's what I called it when I saw it the first time. So basically you're separating the patrons from like actually being able, like the structured setup of the facility makes it to where people can be safe and be in and close to race cars.
That's it. We got safety inspectors that would have inspected that track when it was built to make sure that it all lines up with the regs and the government regs to allow us to have that. We've got probably with that, they've enforced security that need to be there while we're at the staging lanes to make sure kids don't pass there, dads don't pass there without your tags that you get from the gate once you sign in with your license. We've got security there to make sure that if you're going to be in that area that you're allowed because you've got your insurance. other than that, you can walk around the pits, but you're not anywhere allowed near there. Also on the exit lane as well. We have those tags and stuff on your arms, got security there to make sure that people don't run down there and get hurt. And there's rules in place for us drivers. If we're caught doing the wrong things, there's consequences of that, of getting bans and bits and pieces. It's ran very strict, but it's ran strict in a way to give us the best out of it.
Now, is there any age restrictions on these licenses?
Like restrictions where you can't get them?
You have to be a certain age to drive a 410 sprint car.
Yeah, you just need to be able to pass a medical. So we'll just have, like you said, we have to go to a doctor and make sure that we're fit enough. We're going there with a racing license. So they print off a piece of paper, and it has tick points of what we need to do to pass out to get a license, which is, have you got any illness or anything like that, anything that's going to pretty much make it hard to get a license, really, to race a car. Like, are your joints all there? You haven't got broken arms or anything, vision. They go right through you, to the point of running on a push bike for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you go through a whole lot of things to make sure you can get the license to race.
Looks like Our Power has chimed in here. That's that Beige Jordan. I believe he's like the biggest Brad Sweet fan in the world, so you made him happy by losing. But he said Perth is the only speedway in Australia with open pits. He also said 16 years old is the age restriction limit on getting that license. I don't know
that's
if that's
correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So you definitely have to be 16 years old to get that license.
Right. Well, and so you mentioned Buddy
so
Kofoid. I believe he was 12 years old when he got into a sprint car, And my argument to that is like, we do have some young kids just wrecking cars over here in the States. I blame iRacing because that's where they learn how to race like that in a way. But then at the same time, I don't know. Should there be a true licensing system? Just because Bill Gates can afford a fighter jet, don't mean you can go out there and start flying it around. It takes, a certain amount of time. You have to go to training and all this stuff and get approved before you get to. I mean, the closest thing to a jet on the ground is a sprint car.
Yeah, I feel like you want these young kids getting into cars. They probably see it as a bit of a dream. I just feel like if you're going to put young kids in the car, that the car's going to be safe for these young kids as well. You got to make sure that the safety equipment's at the top notch. Where if someone does have a crash, even if they are young or old, that it needs to be safe enough where someone that sort of size is going to be safe racing a 900 horsepower car. Is the cage going to be strong enough? The seat's going to be tight enough for a 12-year-old. I embrace everything with the next generation coming into a race. I'd say that if you stop that, then our sport would probably stop growing.
Yeah, and that's where government is good. Some people say government's bad, but regulation and being able to enforce things and having a certain standard of being in operation is good in some way. Speaking of operation, you just mentioned seats and cars. What is about the proper amount to compete at the level you just did against Brad Sweet and the best in the world? What does it cost? You was talking earlier about the amount of money it takes to get cars over there. Do y'all have a local engine builder? What numbers are we thinking in the Australian dollar sense?
Yeah, okay. So at the level we're competing at right now at Motorplex with what we've got, I'd say an engine that I get built from KRE, Kenny Mack, that you might know of.
Is he American?
No, he's Australian.
Okay, so y'all do have engine builders then.
So Shane Van Gisbergen, who ran supercars, and Bro Kostecki, that ran supercars, they run KRE supercar engines. This guy's top notch. So those engines now cost us in sprint cars probably about 116,000 in the Australian dollars. That's just your car engine. And then I think the cars themselves probably about 60 grand by the time you get it as a roller.
60?
About 60 grand as a roller, top notch roller.
Is that because of tariffs and stuff?
A little bit, yes, it is. Getting parts in Australia is a lot harder than getting parts in America. So, we then have to get them stickered over here as well. And some of that stuff over here costs a fair bit. Yeah, it'd be, by the time it hits the track, if you're lucky, your car's probably about 150 grand's worth. Then again, you're going to need spare engines, parts as well. So
Seats.
most teams in the pits, I reckon, are rolling around at about $1 million a team to about $500,000 a team with transporters and spares and the whole lot these days. Trucks, yeah, about $1 million teams, I reckon. And
well, you said 116 for the motor. I believe right now the American dollar is $1.40 to y'all's dollar. So about 50 cents more per dollar that our dollar's valued. So that's, top notch 410s over here about 75. So that's pretty close, honestly, in the conversion department. But the car that you said 60, I mean, I helped sell when Kyle Larson Racing closed down with the 2 car, I helped sell those cars and help organize it and all that stuff. We had the best of the best rolling out there, rolling for 24,000. All it's missing is the motor. Throw the motor in and go. That's pretty high. Do y'all not have any car builders, or is it more so, or chassis builders, or is it more so like front ends and rear ends and stuff that is lacking personal production? Because it sounds like the reason some of this stuff is costing so much is because it's not produced by your own country.
And that's it. Everything we're getting is coming from other countries. So we're probably paying a freight. We're paying a lot in freight, probably extra 20% just in freight. And then these companies over here need to buy a heap of stock, then to sell that stock as well. And they're not going to just buy a heap of stock and not make profit on it. So they're going to put their bid on top as well. And then you guys are building it and you just got to make your profit as well. So we're getting parts through the hands of 3 or 2 companies before we get it. And that's probably the hardest thing about being in Australia. Our rear ends these days are costing us $4 to $5 grand brand new over here. Your Smith brakes and all that, the best of the best brakes. Everyone wants to run what the World of Outlaws people run as well. So we're following World of Outlaw trends, and them guys ain't cheap. So we're trying to get the same parts as them. So when they do come over here, we can compete against them as well. So that's probably what makes it very expensive.
Right. Well, and like I was saying, I helped sell that Kyle Larson Racing team, and they did have the cool chassis. I believe that was an Australian builder, right?
I'm not too sure.
I think they closed by now, but it was cool chassis.
Yeah. Yep. I'm pretty sure they might have been. Yeah. Yep. I remember.
But no more anymore.
I actually ran that. I ran that chassis the year Kyle Larson left. That exact chassis from Cool. His crew chief over there was Glenn Gleeson, Moth, and he ran in Sydney at Parramatta, and I ended up going over there and running that exact same Cool chassis after that.
And so I think they do not do them anymore. Is there any in country chassis builders?
No, there isn't anymore. So we're pretty much getting everything from America now, or wherever those people build them. So I wouldn't say there's any chassis builders in Australia, and if there is, well, yeah, I haven't known or asked or heard of them. So
or like you said, everybody's trying to be like the Outlaws. Why experiment with some guy's chassis? I want the Maxim or the J&J or the Eagle.
Yeah, we just follow trends like Donny Schatz when he was running J&J. He still does he? But everyone was running J&J. It was a trend. Everyone was going good at the Motorplex with J&J chassis. So then 3/4 of the field were running J&Js by the next year, and now the Perth Motorplex are now running nearly 3/4 of Triple X chassis. It's just a trend, and who's going good in America is what we look at and then we buy, and if it goes good in WA, then it's like a fashion. When we go buy all of that, and then we keep trying that. We just follow the American fashion, really, and it works for us. It gets us on an even playing field.
Yeah, somebody said the Beretta chassis out of Melbourne, a 100% Australian made by Brett Lacey. But yeah, just like you're saying with trends, like Larson, for instance, he put Eagle on the map, or EMI, however you want to call it, with his 8740s that he was whooping everyone's ass in. Of course, we're going to assume that Paul Silva was doing something different to those cars, but still, I mean, a chassis is still a chassis, but back to following trends, co-trickle, and that's what Kyle Larson is to begin with. But that is kind of interesting. You mentioned Parramatta. Obviously, y'all's side of the country had Perth. It seems like down there in Melbourne, they had the, Premier Speedway and Avalon and all their little. It seems like that's the more flourished area of sprint car racing. And then I guess on the eastern side, you would have had Parramatta and some others. How do you feel about what's happening all the way on the other side of the country?
Yeah, I feel like with Trackwise, you're saying obviously, they've got Eastern Creek now in Sydney. They had to tear down Parramatta, which was an amazing track. It had no fault due to the Barry Waldron who actually had that track. The government then had to step in and take that track over.
Would that have been the Perth of the East?
It was Parramatta was the prime of everywhere, and it tore a lot of Australia people to bits when they had to get rid of that place because there was so much history there, and we had to get rid of that track, and they moved us out to another venue called Eastern Creek Speedway,
which Toby from Sprint Car Hub says that's just a freaking what is going on there. Did they just do that to move tax dollars and not tell anybody? They do it in America all the time.
I'm not too sure about the background stuff, but they moved them out there, and then they rushed the project to a point where I'm unsure if it was the way that everyone was expecting it to be. And then they pretty much said, "Here's the keys to your venue, I think, and you guys now got to run it, and you've got to make sure you can lease it and pay the bills, I guess." And that's probably where it's at the moment. And I don't think anyone's actually touched it because a lot of people still think it's unfinished or it's not what they expected it to be.
Now, how long of a drive would that have been? Did you ever race? You said you went to Parramatta. Was that a fly and race someone else's car situation? Because that's a big distance between the two. That's probably more. Because I've drove from Daytona Beach, Florida to Stockton, California. That was a 41-hour drive. I've also drove from Maine to Watsonville. I think that was 47. But from where you're at to the middle of the country, at Melbourne is 35-ish. To go all the way over there, how would that even work, or did it work, or did you fly over and drive someone else's stuff?
No, so I went over and drove for the track owner Barry Waldron. He had a car there with East Coast Pipelines. So I don't know if you've heard of Robbie Farr. It was like yes. A 2-car team. I was like a development driver for him a while back, and he gave me a call and said, "Do you want to come over here and race at Parramatta in the car?" As like a development, and I went over there, and I was flying backwards and forwards. Me and my dad were flying backwards and forwards, and we were racing over there, and we learned a fair bit that season. I think I was only about 23 at that time, and that was, running from big tracks, from 17 to 23, then going on to these little tight bull rings with a big cushion. That's what sort of helped me run against the wall a bit easier when I went back to the Plex as well. So. It was a long flight. So I think it would take us 38 hours or longer to drive from Perth all the way to Sydney. So it was a 4-hour flight most nights. Get in late on a Friday, wake up in the morning, race that afternoon, finish that night, get some sleep, drink some beers with some mates, and then get up Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning to fly home that night. And then drive when I get into Perth, drive 5 hours that night, then to make it back to Gelson.
All this just to drive a car in a circle.
Just to drive in a circle. That's because Perth Motorplex, like you said, we're in the middle of nowhere. We're blessed to have the 2 venues we got, but we're definitely not blessed with the amount of tracks around us.
Right. What was that correct? What I said earlier, that Melbourne, that area down there, is kind of the bigger scene, I guess, for racing over there.
What tracks are over there?
Well, you got I was looking up. You got like Avalon. There's the Simpson, Borderline, Premier.
Yeah, definitely. That's the place where you want to be racing over there. They do a great job. They're embracing the sport. They're doing things. Yeah, great. So they're racing over there as well. It's got great series, so it's good.
Well, and I heard you call it the Plex. Is that what most people refer to Perth as? Is the Plex?
Yeah, we call it. Most people just call it slang, like the slang word for Motorplex is just the Plex. So,
Well, yeah, a lot of people call Port
that's
Royal
correct.
Port. Yeah, we're gonna go to Port, or the Berg, Lawrenceburg. I mean, seems like that was
Yeah.
yeah. So, question, because I'm planning on coming over there and roughing it as much as I can through, like I said, through the bank account out the window. What have you ever encountered any of these deadly ass spiders and snakes and crocodiles in your life that apparently I should be scared to my life of when I just walk around or go take a pee around a bush? Like, what do I need to be worried about when I get over there besides the women?
All right, I reckon you probably won't be used to the flies over here, so you probably.
What do you mean
Probably need to get
flies? Like,
yourself a
what do you mean,
fly.
like Jumanji? Like giant flies? Or
No, just your normal flies, but instead of one, you've got 12 buzzing around your face or on your
okay.
back. I don't know. Probably a bucket hat will suit you with some thongs in our territory.
What the hell does that even
thongs,
mean? What did you just say? A bucket hat?
A bucket hat, which is a round brim hat that will stop the sun from burning the back of your neck when you go to Parramatta. Some thongs will be all right. They will protect you from the snakes crawling around the ground.
What do you mean thongs? In America, thongs is what big bootied women when you wear at strip clubs.
Flip flops. You gotta, they stay away from flip flops, the snakes. So you need to wear those.
I feel like you're lying.
I am a little bit, yeah. But you need to. There's nothing over here that's really gonna get you. There's a big. I'd say if you go into the country, in the middle of nowhere, you're going to come across snakes no matter what. Where I'm from in Gelson, it's very hot, it's dry, it's a farming town. You will see snakes all the time.
One y'all got that's bad is the brown snake, right?
Yeah, and the Guadia snake is probably the third deadliest snake in the world. We got heaps of them in Perth and up the coast of Perth as well. But you won't see many of those where you're going.
Okay,
and kangaroos.
What about the spiders?
Kangaroos
though?
bloody everywhere. Spiders, yeah, definitely. You got the big huntsman spiders. They
what the hell did you just say? Huntsman?
Huntsman spider. So
it hunts man. Like we're talking hunts man.
Yes, if you type one of those in Google,
oh god,
they love getting into cozy places. I've woken up through the night sometimes thinking that something's on my back, and yeah, there's a huntsman spider in my bed. So they like to snuggle up, honestly.
What do you mean they like to snuggle up? What the hell is this thing?
They're just there. They're one of
those my god, I'm canceling the flight right now. So this thing likes to come and crawl up in next to you.
Mate, in Gelson, there is that many of the things. They're not deadly. They can't bite you. But if you don't like spiders, you're going to see them everywhere. And, man, you'll just pull your sheet covers open and there'll be just one laying in your bed.
And that's the size. It's about the size of a hand. I guess they get bigger, as they always say.
They do get bigger. Every time you think you've seen the biggest one, a year later, you'll see a bigger one.
So you're telling me that this spider here doesn't bite?
Well, it might be able to bite you, but it won't be able to poison you. I don't think it's a venomous spider, but definitely a scary one anyway.
Well, yeah, definitely. Look at it. It's smiling at you. I mean, look at that thing.
Yeah, and then
that looks like fangs. You're telling me that don't go into your body and hurt?
I've never. Oh, you can pick them up. You can move them out of the way, and they're pretty placid. I think they just want.
So you're saying just treat them like a puppy.
Pretty much, and don't try to swat them. If you got to move them, just put them in a bit of a bucket, put them outside, and in a week's time, they'll be back in your house.
Now, why do you say don't swat at them? What do you mean? Do they get attitude or something?
Yeah, they jump. So
they jump now.
Off the wall.
Oh, well, that's beautiful.
Yep. So if you swat at them on the wall, they will jump. So they are different.
And definitely are. I heard that. What about this one that hangs around the toilet that'll paralyze you? This redback or whatever it's called.
Oh, redbacks. Yeah, got heaps of redbacks in Gelson. my whole shed's full of them. But you know, if you don't look at them, you don't know they're there. But they can definitely hurt you, make you sick. I remember one of my mates got bitten by one when they were younger, and she was in hospital for about 3 days. So the smaller ones, they can really hurt smaller people, but you know, adults, not so bad, can make you sick.
Okay. I heard what else? What else? Let's hear it. Let's look them up.
Oh no, I reckon one of your wild kangaroos, you wouldn't want to go toe to toe with one. I reckon they'll give you a good old kick.
Hell no.
Hooved
animals can stay away. The most deadliest animal in the Americas is actually a deer. Believe it or not, people underestimate how sharp the hooves are on deer, and they go to fuck with them, and they get their guts spilled out. You know.
Yeah. No, there's. I don't know if there's any other dangerous dangerous.
Any
animals.
big spiders? Yeah. Nothing big.
No, nothing big. I got my mate here. Is there any other animals in Australia that are pretty scary?
I'm planning on staying in the car.
Drop bears.
The Bundaberg drop bears.
Yep.
The Bundabergs.
Bundaberg drop bears.
Bundaberg. Drop? You say drop?
Drop bear.
A freaking koala bear?
Yep. If you're not careful, those things will fall out of the trees and land on you.
We call them koala bears.
Yeah.
I actually went. This is funny. I've never said this. I actually went to a school called Mark Twain, and the koala bear was like their mascot. And if you were really good, you got like you were a koala kid. So this is if I get attacked by a koala bear, that's full fucking circle. I'm telling you.
Yeah. No, they're actually innocent and sweet. They're just. Yeah, it's just a bit of.
I heard they stink really bad though. Like you could tell when they're near because you smell them.
Yeah, but other than that, there's not much. But
no crocodiles.
When you get over here, no, you don't have to worry about crocodiles in your area.
Those are all northern, right?
That's up north, up the coast. Yeah.
Right.
Oh no. Any other animals, James? Fox and kangaroos. I've told you about that one, have I?
I'm done with that.
And that's about it. Snakes and spiders. And mosquitoes.
And mosquitoes. Great.
Oh, yeah. They'll attack your legs, the midges, and you'll be scratching your legs all day until they bleed.
Somebody said white-tip spiders.
White-tip spiders. Yep, they can do some damage.
What do you mean they can do some damage? You said there wasn't nothing else to worry about. The hell are you talking about?
That's nothing compared to some others, but. Yeah, I think everything you look at in Australia is pretty much going to get you.
It's going to get me. So I might as well I'm coming over trying to, stay in the car if I can't afford a hotel. This is what I'm going to wake up to in the front seat of the car, one on the ceiling of the car, just chilling out.
Yep, pretty much. And I don't know if you get huntsmans over there, so you should be fine with those. But maybe the locals over there will be able to tell you once you get off the plane.
Oh, my God. This is ridiculous. No, I actually do have somewhere a guy named Mark Hill. He says I could stay with him. He's over there near Avalon, though. I don't have anywhere in Warrnambool yet lined up. But, make good content. I mean, I'll tell you, if I wake up in the middle of the night and there's, a big animal, I have to film it, I'm coming over there to make all kinds of content, not just racing. So.
Yeah. Yep.
One of my most famous videos on Facebook was when I went through the Yellowstone National Forest and actually had a flat tire, and the wheel lock key broke when I went to go change it. And I had to stay overnight, basically being stalked by a grizzly bear. So I was live on Facebook being stalked by a grizzly bear. It was pretty funny, actually. I bet everybody remembers that. Yes. Everybody loves that, fucking assholes.
Yeah, stuff like that. Well, yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to have to catch up with you when you get over there, definitely, for sure. And we're going to have a beer. I think you're going to maybe try a EMI Export or a 4X or something like that when you get here, mate. We'll have a beer. But I've got to head off, mate. I've got to get in the car. I've got to go back to the workshop and and get into it, mate. Get
Well,
the
you
car
got.
ready.
I'm used to sprint car drivers not having to do anything but just talk to people on their phone. I'm sorry. You are the late model kind of guys over there. The real people.
Yeah, no, we got to get to work. We've got to be racing down in Bunbury tomorrow night, so I've got to get back working. I can send you some photos on Messenger of our shop and that, and you can see what we do in our shop.
Well, you're saying there's a big race in February. If I could find a way to stay that long, I will. Go fight something or make something happen. But because that would be cool. I mean, I'm burnt out on going to Florida for Speed Weeks. I mean, I know High Limit versus Outlaws is happening, but that would be cool as well. I mean, I'm trying to get as much as I can out of this. Life is finite. So, but regardless, that is a question or something you could say for you get out of here. What is your remaining schedule for the next couple, all the way, I guess, until y'all are done there at the end of February, March is the end, right?
Yeah, so I don't really have a schedule. It's just going to go do the classic. Other than that, my points really got hurt when I got sick for a while there. So I got sick where I wasn't able to run 2-3 shows of our Mannington Toyota series. So now I don't have to run for points, and I'm out of contention of the series. So I don't have anything really as a schedule no more. It's pretty much I can make my own schedule. So at the classic would be probably, we run that and go back and do Manson, and we'll just run that season out.
But I guess there's this Bunbury or whatever tomorrow night, you're saying?
Bunbury's part of the series as well. So schedule for that's Bunbury, and then we go back to Motorplex and run 3 shows there. And that's Speed Week mini series, which is the USA versus WA series, which is going to be done in about 2 weeks' time.
Okay. All right. And then you'll head to the classic,
Yes.
And then who knows? Head
to the classic, race there, and come back and just relax in the WA Motorplex and keep chugging along here and enjoying that. All
right. Well, I sorry to hold you up on your busy day. I guess
we'll
let you go.
So no, thanks for your time, man. I really appreciate the day, and we'll definitely keep in touch. And like I said, we'll have a few beers when you get over here, and we'll have a yarn and enjoy it.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in, I guess. Hooroo? Is that what I'm supposed to say? Hooroo or something?
Hooroo. Yep. Catch you, mate. See ya.
All right. Bye. And so that was Callum. We said Callum yesterday, or we say I read Callum, and we called him Callum Williamson. Calling in there, some chats. Apparently, beer is now the new Foster lager. Foster sucks in America, but I heard it's very different than what it is over here. Nicole says funnel web spider. Oh my God. I'm about to sell these tickets that I have for this plane. That's what's about to happen. That is what I'm about to happen. I'm about to just go ahead and sell these tickets. What's it called again? Let's see here. Funnel web spider. Let's see what's going to crawl into the car while we're sleeping on the, outside the bar somewhere on the street. Funnel web spider. Oh, well, isn't that pretty? Look at this thing. Oh, wrong page. Let's see here. Look at that. Look at it spring up. It even says hello. There are 35 species of funnel web, a number of which are found along Australia's eastern coast from New South Wales to Queensland. However, only one holds the title of world's deadliest spider. The Sydney funnel web is generally found in suburbia and bushland in an area bound by who gives a damn. I do not have any plans to go to Sydney. Hopefully this thing does not catch a draft of wind and blow all the way over to Warrnambool and Melbourne. And potentially, hey, I mean, I'm not against staying over in Australia for longer than originally thought. I'll stay there all the way to the end of February in Perth if it can happen. That's the difference. If it can happen. I mean, I'm used to rugged travels. People know that. I basically traveled in a car for 400,000 miles over the last couple years, so I'm not worried about roughing it. But if I got to rough it and deal with this funnel web shit, That can funnel cake these nuts. Laugh out loud. Spiders and snakes are blown all out of proportion. The women are more dangerous. That's why I said, what do I need to worry about besides the women? Besides the women. Working visa. Yes, the business one or whatever when you were applying for it, I put that as an option. Yes. What is your PHN? I don't know if that's a fin. I'm not sure. Don't try patenting a typing. Don't try patting a typing. All right, let's see what this typing is. Let's see what the typing is. Typing. Oh, well, look at that. It's another one of these lizard puppies. Oh my God. Venom. Oh my God. Neurotoxins. Just great. Oh well. There's a good song by Tim McGraw called Live Like You Were Dying. And, you know, I was thinking about that today while I was working. I was like, you know, we make fun of these guys in like the movies. They got the sign that says, we're all gonna die. You know, there was a joke in American culture in the 2000s in a lot of movies. There would be a guy pop up somewhere in the movie as a joke and say, we're all gonna die. As funny as that is, it is actually true. No one is going to live forever. We all are going to die. So, and just like in racing, you know, living on the edge of death is sometimes more living than being pampered and sheltered and coated. So that's why I don't care. You know, let's just go, let's roll, let's do it. Yeah, I'm concerned, but I'm not going to have it restrain me from living because, like the crazy guy says, we're all going to die. I don't know if somebody has convinced y'all that you're going to live forever or something, but it's not going to happen. Regardless, thanks for everyone tuning in. Trapdoor Spider, great. I know what that is. I read a book of that one when I was young. What is your phone? I have a phone number. I do not know what the phone number is going to be. Apparently, I'm going to have to get like a burner phone or something to even have cell service. I have Verizon. I haven't looked into the international services that Verizon offers to be able to utilize my phone while I'm in Australia. But I'm hearing I'm going to, the smarter, cheaper route is to buy a local kind of monthly phone plan thing and then utilize that to communicate and navigate and things of those sorts. So another expense that I don't have the money for, but once again, we threw the bank out the window. It's happening. We are landing and going. If you do want to join the support and put your name at the top of these videos and all the content, we're going to be doing a lot of stuff over there in Australia. Links are in the description to both the PayPal and the Venmo for direct support. The Super Chats definitely meant a lot. I know we had a few earlier in the way from the Tall Slacker. He sent two $5 Super Chats. That goes a long way, but the Super Chats won't be reaching the trip fund until the 20s of next month, which is potentially when I'm heading back. So the direct support is the PayPal and the Venmo ways. We did do some graphic work for a guy actually over in Australia, just doing some design work for him. And that turned out pretty cool. Obviously, I don't know who saw it today that Conor Morrell joined High Limit for your American news. But let's see if we can get a preview of what this little logo that I did up. It's like a logo number team logo set that I did for a guy. Check this on out. And the guy's name is Brett Fisher out of the Gold Coast area. We got to make some changes. It's not a complete finish, but these are little team logo I did with him. He said he liked the High Limit logo. It was kind of more of a circle style. So with this circle style, he showed me some double zeros. I kind of didn't want to copycat everyone, so I went with that kind of look. And then with he didn't even really want a name and all that. I just thought that looked badass with the green kind of subtle on the gray with the look with the white and the silver. I thought that looked really nice. So once again, everything we can do to stay going, stay surviving, and make sure that this Australian trip isn't just, living in a car and doing anything possible besides selling my soul to make it exist and work and operate functionally. So anyways, I said, yes, Walter Taggart has supported the show, and his name, I believe, is on the top of the screen. Isn't Walter Taggart up here? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, right there, Walter Taggart. And Brent Fisher. That's the guys right there who I did the graphics for. Do not ask for Foster, or do not, I'm assuming you meant to say Lance Burns. Do not ask for Fosters in Australia. It's worse than asking for Bud Light. Wow. Very PJ Chesson. I didn't even think about PJ Chesson when I was making that, but yeah, that is a very similar color scheme for sure. When it's your time, Nicole says. Very smart people. Nicole is not sleeping on the world. Nicole actually said a bunch of Karens up here. Wow. Is Nicole from Australia? This may be my first hookup. Let's see here. I think Ryan has a crush on the Chaz. Can you come to Attica Raceway Park March 31st? Potentially. I don't know what is going to happen financially for me. I mean, when I say I threw the bank out the window, I literally did. Now, we have had some support. We have had some things sent in. It is little chips chipping away at the fall. It is a piece of the parachute as I jumped off the side of the cliff to make this trip even a thought possible. But we're still trying to piece the parachute together before we get back to America. Maybe we won't come back. Hey, that's fine. People are like, oh, are you going to die in a plane crash on the way over? Are you going to fly over the ocean? I'm like, all right, fine. I'd rather fly in the ocean than 50 or 60 years old and some kind of cancer, and they're cutting and dicing and splicing you and sticking you and jabbing you, and then you slowly take your last breaths over 6 months period as everybody comes in and says their goodbyes. So that sounds way scarier than a spider bite, than a shark attack, than a plane crash. If I can go out that way, sounds like the better option than the normal way, which is the way I just described. So anyway, it looks bloody awesome. The graphics is heart. Oh, this Nicole is definitely, I ain't seen no pictures. I got a Facebook. Check it out. No, I'm just playing. Actually, I'm not playing. No, I'm just, I got to stop before I get canceled right now. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Callum. I believe that's how you're saying it. Callum, for calling in. And it was a good show. Learned a lot about the culture over there is way more respectable to me. That's why I like the late model culture so much over here. It's not necessarily for the racing. It's for the people, the work, the mentality, the seriousness. Not to jump out of the car, get on the phone, and start swiping right, which is the majority of the big-time racers on this side of the country. Not all of them. Not all of them. But it sounds like the normal people race sprint cars over there, and the culture is just way more respectable. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you liked the video as well. Be sure to like the video, share it around. Just as valuable as support is sharing it around, getting the word out, getting Callum out there more. Maybe seeing him in a PA ride next year. You never know. You never know. There are some cars that look to me to, hey, who should we put in it? Who's a guy? Who's a guy? I'm almost a Jerry Maguire in this situation. I'm a talent scout, I guess. I'm Bob Baffert. I'm training horses. I need some horses. We're finding horses out here. We'll see if there's some other horses over there in Australia when I get there. It'll be interesting to see. But at the end of the day, great interview, great talk. Like it, share it, comment below. As always, be sure to subscribe. You can join the memberships too. And as I just got through saying, links in the description to directly support this Australian trip / jumped off the mountain to have an experience of a lifetime, hopefully. We'll see you next time, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I don't know how to end it. I'm kind of scared of spiders. I grew up on arachnophobia, and I'm taking deep breaths. We'll see you next time, ladies and gentlemen. Oh. Good idea from an Australian guy. I may be bringing some musical CDs and talent to Australia to hand out to people. Be sure to go look on the website for these professional Gaslighter shirts. And also check out the new music video that we just put out a few days ago. We may be bringing some physical music to give away. You know, the first time I heard Robbie Farr's name, as Callum was saying, was a song called Dirt Track Cowboy. And it was sung by an Australian. And he was talking about all these guys in the song. is the Chaz going to be the new generation dirt track cowboy when I go to Australia? This is a possibility. So anyways, go check out the music. It's on Spotify. Look up the Chaz. This Is How We Do is a popular song, which is what ends the video and starts the video. Also, the new song is called Down in These Roots. The video was just released the other day. It's here on the channel as well on Spotify and all your musical platforms. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, until next time.
We can ride high, we can ride low. We can ride anywhere we need to go. We can ride all night up to the morning, as long as we make the show. We can be the best, or we can be the worst. We can be the best thing you ever heard. With the motor singing and the grandstands ringing, it's hard to put it all in words. But this is how we ride.